Understand weather. Master fish behavior to catch big hay there. Fishing fanatics. Happy new day and welcome back to Fishing 24 Hours, your go-to channel for hardcore fishing tips and stories that make every trip legendary. Ever notice how some days fish bite like crazy, your float dancing non-stop, while other days you sit for hours with a float as still as a rock? Some folks blame bad luck, but the real secret is whether it's the key to how fish feed. Today, we'll dive into how to read the weather to predict fish behavior. Pick the right bait, spot, and timing, and haul in a bucket full of fish, just like the old-timers did. This story goes back a few months to Toledo Bend Lake, on the Louisiana-Texas border. It was a cloudy day, a light breeze rippling the water, the air cool and crisp. I dropped some bloodworms in a shallow spot near the bank, and in under 5 minutes, my float dove a 2-pound crappie thrashed the surface. I cast again, hooked another, and within an hour I had 5 crappie and bluegill, each one a solid keeper. The next day I returned to the same spot, but the sun was blazing, the lake mirror flat, and the fish were gone. I sat for an hour, only landing 1 tiny bluegill. Frustrated, I was about to pack up when an old angler, Pops, strolled by with a grin. "You gotta watch the sky, kid," he said. "Fish are like Oosta hot. They get lazy. Cool weather. They're hungry," he explained. On cloudy days, fish rise to mid-water or near shore to feed. In scorching sun, they dive deep for cooler spots. I switched to night crawlers, cast deeper near the bottom, and found a shaded cove under some willows. Boomed a carp in the bag, not as good as the day before, but enough to save the trip. That day taught me weather doesn't just affect us, it calls the shots on whether fish bite. In this video, we'll explore why weather shapes fish behavior, how to choose baits, spots, and timing based on sun, rain, wind, and temperature. I've got 2 real-life stories from the US to fire you up, plus practical tips, beginner advice, and safety pointers to make you a master of any fishing hole. These tricks work in ponds, lakes, rivers, and creeks across America. From Toledo Bend to the Mississippi, for species like carp, crappie, bluegill, catfish, and bass. So, grab a cold soda, get comfy, and let's turn the weather into your fishing buddy. Why does weather have such a big impact on fish? 6 key reasons. First, blazing sun and high temps heat up surface water, so fish dive deep around 6 to 12 feet. To stay cool, moving less, and eating less. Second, cool or cloudy days oxygenate the water, bringing fish to mid-water or near shore where they're active and ready to bite. Third, before rain, dropping air pressure makes fish more sensitive, chowing down to store energy. Fourth, after heavy rain, water gets murky, fish scatter. But in clear patches or small inlets, they gather to feed on debris washed in. Fifth, a light breeze ripples the water, boosting oxygen, so fish swim and feed more. 6. Strong winds or big waves push fish into sheltered spots like tree roots or rocks, where they hide and bite less. Lots of anglers ignore weather, casting the same way every day, then wonder why fish won't bite. But fish read the weather as well as we do? Hot sun, they dive deep. Cool days, they rise. Before rain, they're ravenous. Get this right, and you'll know when to hit the water, what bait to use, where to cast, and how long to wait. With these tricks, the weather will guide you to fish-filled spots, no matter how crowded the bank. Let's dive into practical tips to fish by the weather. On scorching sunny days, surface water heats up, and fish dive deep to cool off. Use heavy baits like night crawlers, stink bait, or dough balls mixed with fish oil, and drop them near the bottom. Thread a 2 to 4 inch worm to wiggle freely, or mold dough into tight balls to handle currents. Use a 1/8 to 1/4 ounce sinker to sink fast and stay put. Set your float so the bait sits 2 to 4 inches off the bottom, targeting carp, catfish, or bluegill. Look for shaded spots, under trees. Near submerged rocks, or in grassy cobs where fish hide from the heat. Watch the water. No ripples or fish shadows mean they're deep. Use a 9 to 12 foot rod or spinning setup for precise casts. Be patient fish. Feed slowly in heat. If your float twitches lightly, don't yank. Carp might be nibbling. Wait for a full dip or steady pull, then set the hook gently. At Toledo Bend, shaded coves with willows or sunken logs are hotspots in sunny weather. Bring a hat and water to stay cool while fishing. Don't let the sun wear you out. Cool or cloudy days are prime time. Cooler water and more oxygen bring fish to midwater or near shore, feeding hard. Use floating baits like bloodworms, small shrimp, or a slow-dissolving dough bait mixed with fishy scents for crappie and bluegill. Set your float so the bait hangs 2 to 4 feet off the bottom at 1.5 to 5 feet deep. Twitch your rod lightly every 2 to 3 seconds to mimic swimming prey. Cast in shallow areas near grass, lily pads, or roots where fish hunt. Crappie and bluegill strike fast, so when your float jerks hard or dips suddenly, set the hook quick but gentle to avoid snapping the line. Use a thin 4 to 6 pound test line to stay stealthy. In lakes or creeks with overhanging trees, fish pile up on cloudy days. Look for bubbles or small ripple signs. Fish are feeding. At Toledo Bend, lily pad edges are gold when clouds roll in. If your float's still, try twitching more or moving closer to grass. Before a rain is the real golden hour for big fish. Dropping pressure makes fish sensitive and hungry, chowing down to fuel up. Hit the lake or river when the sky darkens and clouds stack up. Use live baits like worms, minnows, or small shiners, casting midwater or near the surface for crappie and bass. For carp, drop baits to the bottom. Target inlets, grassy patches, or tree roots where fish gather pre-rain. Use a sensitive float to catch quick bites. When your float jerks hard, set the hook fast. Fish feed aggressively before storms. Use a sensitive rod and 8 to 10 pound line for big fish. At the Mississippi River or Toledo Bend, pre-rain is when carp and bass go wild. But stay sharp. If lightning flashes, reel in and get to safety. No, fish is worth a strike. Bring a raincoat to keep fishing comfortably. If clouds are heavy, find a shelter to resume after the storm. After heavy rain, water turns murky and fish scatter, but in clear pockets or small inlets, they gather to eat debris washed in. Find less murky water where insects, worms, or minnows collect. Use strong-scented baits, night crawlers, stink bait, or crawfish, meat for catfish and carp. Cast to the bottom or mid-water, depending on the species. In creeks, target inlets or gentle eddies where fish ambush food. Use a 1/16 to 1/8 ounce sinker to hold your bait steady. Watch the current. Leaves or bugs piling up mark a hot spot. Post-rain, crappie and bluegill hit mid-water while catfish hug the bottom. Cast gently. Twitch your rod to create ripples. If your float dips slowly, wait for the right moment to set. In southern creeks, inlets after rain are fish magnets. If water's too murky, use extra stinky bait like fish oil to stand out. A light breeze ripples the water, boosting oxygen, so fish swim and feed more. Pick the windward bank where ripples carry food. Cast midwater or near shore for crappie and bluegill. Bottom for carp. Use live baits like shrimp, bloodworms, or dough bait. In lakes or rivers, windward banks draw fish. Check wind direction. Ripples pushing to shore are ideal. Twitch your bait lightly to mimic drifting prey. Use a feather or lead float to spot bites clearly. When the float jerks, set the hook gently. On the Mississippi, windward banks are where crappie and carp gather. Use a thin 4 to 6 pound line for natural drift. If the wind shifts, try the opposite bank to stay with the fish. Strong winds or big waves push fish into sheltered spots like tree roots, rocks, or grass beds. Drop baits near the bottom by cover, using a heavier 1/4 to 3/8 ounce sinker to fight the current. Choose strong-scented baits, night crawlers, crawfish, or stink bait. Carp and catfish hide here during rough weather. Cast gently to avoid spooking them. If the float twitches lightly, wait for a full dip to set. A pro tip is to chum lightly before casting. On cool days, scatter bloodworms or dough near shore for crappie. Before rain, toss minnows near lily pads to rile up bass. Hit after rain, sprinkle stink bait for carp. Chum sparingly to avoid overfeeding. Watch for bubbles or fish shadows, then cast. Fish are gathering. This turns your spot into a feeding frenzy, boosting your odds of big catches. To show how weather reading works, here's another story. One time on the Mississippi River, it was cloudy with a light breeze, water rippling cool and inviting. I cast night crawlers near a submerged tree on the bank. In 15 minutes, I landed 3 carp, each around 4 pounds. solid fighters. Anglers on the sunny side of the river sat fishless all day. They looked over, shaking their heads. No wonder fish picked their weather to eat. That day, I bagged 2 more bluegill, my bucket heavy, eyes glowing with pride. To fish weather like a pro, prep smart. Bring varied baits forms, minnows, stink bait, lures to match conditions. Use a sensitive rod, strong line, and thin float, checking for wear. Watch the water ripples, bubbles, or fish shadows too. Predict behavior. Cast at the right depth, bait, and spot. If no bites in 15 minutes, switch spots or depth. After rain, hit inlets in sun, find shade. With a breeze, choose the windward side. Safety's critical. Don't fish open banks during storms, lightnings. Deadly. Avoid slippery banks. Post-train, especially soft mud. Watch rising river or lake levels to avoid getting trapped. Wear a life jacket in deep water or strong currents. Keep noise low and avoid casting shadows, crappie, and base spook easy. A little caution keeps your trip fun and safe. New to fishing, weather's a great teacher. Try a lake on cloudy days, casting mid-water for crappie, or fish carp deep in sunny weather, under shade. Note, when fish bite like bass before rain, don't sweat a still float, adjust depth or bait. Fishing by weather builds observation and patience, setting you up for big catches. To level up, practice casting at the right depth, twitching on cool days, or using heavier sinkers in wind. Spend trips at ponds, lakes, or rivers, picking spots by weather. Choose fresh baits, fatworms, live minnows, stinky dough. In crowded spots, find a quiet corner to keep fish calm. These details make you a weather-wise angler. Reading weather is an old-school secret few share. Sun, rain, wind, and temperature tell you where fish are, what they eat, and when. 3 words: timing, depth, bait. Every cast timed with the weather feels like talking to the fish. When the float dips slow, heart racing, hands gripping the rod, that's a moment only anglers get. Rookie or pro, this trick will make you king of any fishing hole. That's it, folks. We've cracked how weather drives fish, from sun to rain to wind, with tips to nail it.
Nice.
I hope you're pumped to check the sky before grabbing your rod. Smash that like, share with your fishing crew, and subscribe to Fishing 24 Hours for more killer tips. Got a weather fishing story from America's lakes or rivers? Drop it in the comments, I'm all ears. Tight lines, big catches. See you next time.